I just got back from New York City, where I took the JLPT N5 exam at Lehman College. If you found this video because you're preparing to do the same thing, then stick around because I might have some useful information for you. So, first things first, let me give you some background. I studied for this exam for about a year in total, but I didn't start from scratch. I've actually lived in Japan in the past, and I had some experience, some very low-level experience with Japanese language and studied it for a bit, so I wasn't starting from scratch. However, I did feel that a big reason for this, for me taking on this task was that I wanted to take my Japanese to the next level. So with that in mind, I hired a tutor at the first tutor I'm going to recommend to anybody that has the money to afford this is to get a tutor at preply.com. So what I like most about the platform is that it keeps everything organized. It's not super expensive as far as personal private tutors go. And my tutor that I found was very experienced. She's great. She's awesome. She has her own lesson plans and learning materials that she would give me. And she was able to figure out exactly where my Japanese was and exactly what I needed to work on. And then when I let her know that I wanted to take the JLPT, we kind of switched into that for the last, I would say, like 6 weeks before the exam, and just focused on practice exams and practice tests and a lot of strategies around this. So it's not cheap, you know, but if you have the funds to do it, I would recommend getting a tutor. And when I was working with my tutor, what we did use is everyone's favorite, the Genki textbook. So for the last year, we went through the entire textbook. Now, you could probably finish this in a lot faster than a year, you know, and you can do it by yourself as well. But I was probably only meeting with my tutor about once a week for an hour. I would do some self-study as much as I could other than that, but it was a little difficult. You know, I'm an adult with a full-time job and other responsibilities, so it was hard for me to find the time. So it took us about a year to get through the entire textbook, all chapters, and that covered about everything you need to know for the JLPT N5. But yeah, the content was easy to understand, easy to get through, and this is a tried and true learning resource for the Japanese language. Now this is edition 2, no, this is 3rd edition actually. 3rd edition, just make sure that if you do end up working with someone that you try to get the same edition. Because my tutor had the 2nd edition, I had the 3rd, so there were some discrepancies, but nothing that can't be overcome. It wasn't that bad, but it would be better if you get in the same edition. Now, some of the open source online resources that I came across was, the first one would be Genki Study Resources. And I'll put the website and everything, the URL in the description and on the screen here somewhere. But the Genki Study Resources is a website that offers resources for practicing what is taught in the Genki Japanese textbook. So you go on there, they'll have like quizzes and different exercises and flashcards that you can use that correspond with the lessons that you are reading in the textbook. It was super helpful. And I actually gave the developer $20. Everything's open source and free, but he accepts donations, and if you have the funds, you know, support the guy if you end up using it. It's very useful. It's great work. The second website that I would recommend is Hanabira. So this is a website with resources to assist people with preparing for the JLPT N1 exam. N1 through N5, sorry. N1 through N5 exam. So you go on here, and what you're going to see is a lot of mock exams, a lot of flashcards, a lot of vocabulary assistance that will help with whatever exam or whatever level of exam that you're preparing for. It's very focused, it's very useful, and again, it's open source, so it's all free, you know, but support these guys if you can. They're doing the Lord's work. And the other resource that I found super useful was actually an app called Miji. It is very pointed and very accurate JLPT test material. So you can go in and it can generate tests or test exams or practice exams for any of the sections in the JLPT. So if you don't know, the JLPT consists of 3 sections. It basically boils down to vocabulary, grammar, and listening, right? So you can go in and you can create a practice exam, with as many questions as you want. It can have a timer and whatnot. And now that I've taken the exam, I recommend this to people because what I found was the structure of these practice exams from Miji are very accurate. I found that they were excellent practice for the actual questions that I had in the N5 exam. So highly recommended. Again, they have a free version, which limits you quite a bit as you come to expect, but you can get 3 months for like $20, which for me was a good enough deal. You prefer it to be free, but it's so much more useful than a lot of the other apps I've come across, and it's directed at studying for the JLPT and practicing those types of questions. So very useful. And the last resource I would recommend is actually on Reddit. If you're watching this, you've probably seen it already, the JLPT subreddit. Lots of great discussions over there. You can get recommendations from other users besides myself, and some interesting discussion as well.
Proctor here. Listen up. Do not come wearing clothes with Japanese all over them. And for God's sake, get a bath. There's always at least 2 people in the room who stay.
Anyway, yeah, those are the tools that I recommend. So what was my experience like? Wow. Where I live currently is about a 90-minute flight away from the nearest test site, which was New York. So I selected New York. Signing up for it was not super straightforward, as you've probably realized already. And you got to be quick because there's only a certain amount of seats at each test site and they fill up fast. So we signed up for it in August with a December test date. Got out there, had to get a hotel, stayed the night, woke up the next morning, went to the test site. It was super busy. I didn't expect to see that many people. And it was, I wouldn't say it was the most well-organized exam I've ever taken. But, the workers and the representatives there did as good a job as they could. And everything was pretty well organized. It could have been a whole lot worse, but could have been a lot better. Yeah, so just some advice if you are going to be attending any of these sites. They ask you to print out your test voucher. So what I would recommend is that you definitely print it out. Don't bring it on your phone, and I'll tell you why. Because once you get into the examination room, you're not going to be allowed to look at your phone. And you're going to need this voucher because they ask you to write down your details about 100 damn times. You got to write it a lot, and you don't have your phone the whole time. So printing it out on a piece of paper is for your benefit. It's not a rule, but it's for your benefit. Do that. And then do not bring mechanical pencils. They actually bring pencils. They don't specify, but you want to bring those number 2 pencils that you have to sharpen yourself. Don't bring the mechanical pencils because in my class, they actually allowed a couple people to use them, but they're not technically allowed. They warn you against using them. I guess they just decided to let these people do it, but it might be different for you. So err on the side of caution and bring a number 2 pencil. So once we got into the classroom, they read out the rules, then you go do each section of the test. They give you a bit of a break in between, so don't worry. Another thing I would say, bring some water. They don't provide anything. Bring extra pencils, bring a sharpener, bring, what else? The only warning I would give to people is the listening part. The listening part of the exam was tough. Not because the questions were hard, but because the way they have it set up is that you're in this classroom and they have a CD and they're playing it on this old boom box that's was not loud enough, in my opinion. And number 2, there was just noise everywhere. Like you could hear cars outside, people in the class coughing, and they don't replay the question. So if you don't catch it the first time, you're screwed. That's it. So, this is just a warning to you guys. When you get in there and it comes to the listening section, get closer to the box if you can. Tell the invigilators that you need them to turn up the volume, which I did twice. It didn't help too much, but at least they attempted to resolve it. I still think I did okay, but I've heard horror stories, and I believe it because it's just really it's a difficult environment to listen to that sort of testing, and you only get one chance, like I said. So make the most of it. But yeah, overall, it was a good experience. I don't know if I passed yet. We get the results in January, end of January, I believe. I think I did okay. I think I did good. I prepared well. I had great assistance from my tutor. And there were lots of resources, both online, offline, paid, free. It's so many resources out there. I just gave you a list of things that I used to prepare for this. I'm pretty sure I passed, but you know, I considered waiting until I got the actual pass results before I posted this, but that's going to be like 2 months away. Who's got time for that? So hopefully, I'll update you guys if you're interested. Stick around, hit the subscribe button if you're interested. This isn't really what I post. I'm going to be using this channel to cover Japanese mascots as I go around Japan and catalog as many mascots as I can. So if you're interested in that, or if you want to see if I actually passed this exam, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video.